Welcome back. We're unpacking some of the more egregious examples of waste and mismanagement when it comes to government expenditures. And joining me to do just that is Franco Terrazzano, who is the Federal Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Thanks again for coming on, Franco. Just before we cut to commercial break, we highlighted an example in Saskatchewan where Premier Scott Moe asked the gas company to stop charging the carbon tax, kind of to mimic the relief programs rolled out by Trudeau for the oil-dependent consumers. Where does the carbon tax go? Because I assume Ottawa still wants to collect that money. So how does that shake out?
Well, that's a great question. So first, the reason that Saskatchewan's premier could do that is because the natural gas utility is a provincial crown corporation, right? So that is the mechanism that allows the Saskatchewan government to do it. Now, where does this go from here? The honest answer is it's still up in the air. Right? There's still this legal challenge that's going on between the government of Saskatchewan and the federal government. But, the most important part to remember of this is that Trudeau is wrong on this and Moe's heart is in the right place. What Trudeau did with his carbon tax carve-out, leaving 97% of Canadian families still paying the carbon tax on their home heating bills, was completely wrong. And Moe deserves credit for doing everything in his power to stick up for his constituents against the carbon tax. In fact, Moe saved the average Saskatchewan family about $400 last year for this move.
Wow. Okay. Because I assume the argument is, why is there preferential treatment on the mode in which one heats their home? If we use gas versus that one oil versus that propane, etc. Okay, very interesting. Okay, let's pivot now. Is there a province or government that is managing their budget, their tax dollars, or the mental health of the taxpayer well?
Well, okay. So first, I just have to say the bad one, and that's the federal government. I have to put this out there, right? They blew through their own $40 billion deficit guardrail by like $20 billion, ran about a $62 billion deficit last year. Okay. The federal debt is almost $1.3 trillion, meaning that in just under a decade, Trudeau doubled the entire national debt. Doubled the debt. Interest charges on the debt are costing taxpayers more than $1 billion every week.
Oh, now, that's like a well more than a new hospital every week.
Yeah. In fact, every dollar you pay in the federal sales tax now goes to pay interest on the federal debt. So the federal finances are a zoo. They're a zoo. Now, on the good side, okay, some good provincial governments. You've got the Alberta government that has put in spending constraints. You have the Alberta government putting in balanced budget requirements. Now, the Alberta government has promised to cut income taxes, and we're going to hold them to that promise this year. Some other good tax relief measures coming from the province of Nova Scotia, cutting the HST this year, and ending a sneaky type of income tax hike known as bracket creep, where the government doesn't move tax brackets with inflation every year.
Oh.
Fortunately, so Nova Scotia did have this sneaky form of tax hike, but thankfully this year, Nova Scotia is ending the bracket creep income tax hike, and that's the good news.
Wow, that's really, really good. Any province that is doing horribly in terms of management? These are good highlights of good things.
Well, a lot of provinces are still running very, very big deficits, right? Now, let me single out Manitoba's newish NDP government under Wab Kinew. We gave them a lot of praise when they suspended their gas tax, 14-cent per liter gas tax. However, just this year, 2025, Manitoba again cranked up that gas tax. Okay. So I definitely think they deserve to be held accountable for that gas tax hike here in 2025.
Okay. Wow. That's really unfortunate because 14 cents a liter is quite a significant impact. Though I get it. Like, if governments are going to continue spending more, they're going to want that additional revenue, meaning they're going to want more money from you.
So let me just jump in there. So I don't believe Manitoba raised their gas tax back up to the full extent, but they did in fact raise it. But now you mentioned where to cut spending. And let me just say, this goes across the board, okay? Whether you're federal, provincial, or municipal, there's two big places you have to cut spending so you can cut taxes. Number one, is the bureaucracy. I mentioned the ballooning growth in the federal bureaucracy, but that's happening almost everywhere. And number two is you have to end the corporate welfare where the
Yes.
government takes money from Canadians and gives that money to select businesses via corporate welfare.
Yeah, that's really, it gets my goat. So 100%, I look forward to the end of that. We're going to pick up this discussion in just a few moments.